It's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today we're going to be making a beautiful cold processed soap. This one is going to be my Christmas coffee soap. So in this one it does have some beautiful notes of vanilla and tobacco, some gorgeous gingerbread, as well as obviously some coffee and some warm gooey chocolate. So that is the scent that I've got, and as most of you know, I actually don't do a normal scent. I usually kind of mix it up a bit and put several notes in one. So that's what I'm going to do. So in front of me here, these are actually frozen pieces. So I do have my coffee that I've frozen, which this is like an espresso with some boiled water and real coffee ground that I've actually sort of ground them down, the beans. And that's what I've done in here. And then I do also, in this little bit here, I have a mixture of milk. So this particular milk here is almond milk, and all I've done is frozen it. So, you know, you definitely need to freeze it. So, because the whole idea is to measure it up, pop it in here, and this is our water content. And then, of course, we're going to put our lye directly into this and mix it. And that's what this will actually do, is keep the lye at a really low temperature. Then with my hard oils, I've already melted them into here. And so you do need to do that. We can't do the heat transfer method because it would actually scorch the coffee and make it smell terrible. So that's why we're doing this particular method. So to start with, we're going to get and measure everything on here. So today I've already popped everything on my scale here. So I actually need 866 grams of my water content. And as I said, my water content is going to be a mix of coffee and, you know, my frozen coffee with the water content in it, as well as the almond milk. So we will just measure all of this up. We want a lot of this to be coffee, but of course, like I said, we do also need some of the almond milk that I want to pop into this as well. This one is going to discolor, so it will go a dark chocolatey kind of color, which is fine. We're more than happy to have that. And like I said, we'll pop all of this in here. And also for this particular one, this is over 3.3 kilograms of oil based, if anyone is wondering a little bit about my recipe here. So yeah, so it is a big recipe, 100% it is. But this will make about 28 bars as well. Make sure you do some little baby ones as well so that you can get the measurements right. I don't weigh it and then put it in here. I weigh it once it's frozen and then pop it in. And like we said, we need 866 grams. So I will just measure this up. All right, so of course now we are going to be working with lye. So we need to put some gloves on, an apron and anything to protect yourself. Of course, look, a lot of people wear long sleeves. You'll probably notice I never do. I should, in fairness, I actually should, but I just get really hot, so that's why I don't. But you can definitely wear long sleeves. And something I've seen people make is like, it's like a lycra, and you just, you know, kind of do the sides up and then you have them on your arms. So then what actually happens is you just kind of pull it up like a sock almost. On your arm, that way it goes over this piece here. So I might actually get my daughter, who is an amazing sewer, to actually do that for me. So now we do need to put some lye in, so we need 456 grams. So I'm just going to put this straight into here, because of course, you know, you put the lye into this bit. So 456, as I said. As I say all the time, you do need to make sure with the lye that it is exactly right. You need to go on the gram. Don't go over. You definitely cannot go over. So in my container we have it. So all we're going to do is literally carefully just stir this over. Do remember, this is still lye. So even though we've got the frozen icicle, it is lye. So we are definitely working with the lye. So I'm just going to move away, like, as you all know, I always say that, I move away. And definitely put your mask on if you can. So we need to mix this up until all of the ice becomes, like a liquid. And then, of course, once this is a liquid, then we are going to be adding in all of our oils. And then literally we're just going to make it as you would with, with any kind of normal soap. So anything else that you want to put in here, you can definitely do that. But what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to separate a tiny bit into this little jug here. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to put some titanium dioxide into one of them just to lighten it a little bit. I mean, obviously it's a dark soap, but once I put the fragrance in, then I won't be able to change that. So one portion won't have it in, and that's just so that we can get a beautiful white kind of line, just to give a little bit of interest to this. And as you can see here, even though it's frozen, the heat of the lye has definitely unfrozen almost all of it. So I'm going to pop in my sodium lactate. For anyone that doesn't know, sodium lactate is a salt-derived product. And adding salt into your bar can definitely harden it. When we say harden, that doesn't mean a longer lasting bar. It just means helping the bar to harden, helping to unmold it. The thing that makes your bar harder is time. So even if it feels hard, that doesn't mean it's going to be long lasting. So long lasting is just giving it time to cure on the rack. So 4 weeks is fine. I give mine 6 usually. And sometimes it sits here longer. I mean, if it doesn't sell straight away, sometimes bars will be here for months on end, and then that does honestly make a much better bar. But if you put lots of castor oil, that actually can really hinder your bar. It can make it smell funny, and it can make it a bit slimy also when you're in the shower. Also, just so that you know, with my coffee, I haven't added in the ground bits. I left a tiny weeny bit, but basically I sifted them out, because if you start putting, like ground down coffee beans in, it can make the soap really itchy and scratchy. This will be a little bit exfoliating, but not a lot, because I have removed all of that. You don't want to have lots and lots of, bits of the hard bits of soap. And I've actually made soap with the hard bits thinking, oh, it would be great, but it's actually just too scratchy, and it's not very pleasant to use when there's too much in it. So, I know often we think, oh, look, it looks so amazing, and it does, but, there's kind of a takeoff, isn't there, on everything that we do. So I'm going to put my sodium lactate in. So we will just grab it, because I keep a lot of things under the counter. I always just use the end of this lid, which is 1 tablespoon. For this mix. So you can put 2 in for this mix if you want, but you really shouldn't exceed 1 to 2% of sodium lactate. So now we've got all of this mixed in here. So as per normal, we will be putting our butters in, which I'm stirring just with a little stick here. And so now we'll just pour all of these in. Like I said, this is my melted butters. This is my normal melted butter recipe. I've just pre-melted these earlier this morning so that they're quite cool. So you really want your lye and your butters to be at a really very, very similar temperature. So make sure you scrape everything out, because if you leave 5 grams behind, that means 5 grams that's not in your recipe. So we'll just move this one out the way for now. And now, of course, we need to be putting in our olive oils and everything else, so then we can start to blend it as we would normally. So on here, that's why I keep looking here. I do keep my recipe behind the counter on here. So my olive oil, I need 1199 grams. So let me just go and grab this one. And of course, I'm going to pop this back on the scale so that I can just measure this up. Because I make a lot of mixtures quite often, what I do is just keep pouring it into the same one. If you're a new soaper, I suggest you pour them into individual containers and then put them in the same one until you feel confident enough. Done that one. So now we do need to put some sweet almond oil in. So let me just refix my scale. So the sweet almond oil is going to be 333 grams. And I do know that this bucket fits it all in if anyone's thinking, oh my goodness, it's very full. You are right, it is really, really full, but it does need to be done. So now, last but not least, is the castor oil, which is 133 grams of this. So we are done. Everything is ready to stir, and I can see that I've kind of lost my spoon in there a little bit, haven't I? So everything is ready. I'm just going to pour this out. Well, take this out. So now, before I actually mix this and let this go crazy, what I'm actually going to be doing in here is I'm just going to put a little bit of water and some titanium dioxide to add a whiteness as well. We want to pre-mix this up. So in here is just a tiny, tiny bit of water. We only want a little bit in there. Just a couple spoonfuls, maybe even 1 spoon really, because it's better to pre-mix this one up as well. Also, in my fragrance oil, and I've already got it sitting here to the side, for anyone that wants to know, I have already added in 1 tablespoon of kaolin clay. So do make sure you add your kaolin clay into that, because it will absorb this scent and then keep the scent a bit longer for you. Alright, so it's really just, you know, a little bit less than a tablespoon. We're just going to mix it into the water. And also there are different titanium dioxide. Some are a water-based one and some are an oil-based. But for soap making, I always use a water-based. It doesn't matter which one you use. We'll pop this one aside because once this is blended, we'll pour a little bit into that. And really, this soap's quite simple. There's not, a lot to do with it as well. And then, of course, I do have my stick blender. Now let's just blend it. Give it a bit of a tap to let any bubbles out first. And then give it a little mix with the end of the stick blender, because otherwise you can just make it too thick. When you're using sweet almond milk as well, do make sure that you're getting unsweetened, because if it has sugar in it, it will make your mixture really, really thick. So you do need to have unsweetened. The same as if you put honey or anything, put the smallest amount, because sugar accelerates cold process soap. Alright, so that one's pretty good, but what I'm going to do is, like I said, we're going to pour a little bit in here so that we can mix this one first. We'll put a bit like that, and then we're going to mix this one, and then I'll add the scent to this. So we'll blend this one first. Alright, so that one's fine, and you can see it's a much lighter colour. So now let's go and add our fragrance oil, which, like I said, does have the kaolin clay in it as well. And let's pray that it does not accelerate and go crazy. So we'll just clean up this mess while I'm going along. Alright, that's a bit better. Let's go. You want to stir it up as well, because I can see underneath that there's kind of like a little mixture of colours. Alright, so that one is definitely ready. Pop this aside. And now we've got our mould here already. So I'm literally just going to pour it in, but I will actually use, like a stirrer just to make sure it's all done. All right, so we have our mold here. So we'll just give this one a stir just to make sure it's all blended in. It smells delish. So in here, basically what you can do is you can pour that in, or you could even pour some of this in here, which we will. Might just add a couple, and we'll come back and forward doing this though, and literally just pour it in. That's literally it. There's nothing else to do but this. And then, of course, we're going to just do a little bit of our white. We'll go up high so that it goes down to the bottom. And I'm just going to keep that little bit for the top. I'll keep this till it gets thicker, and then I'll pop this on top. Now, you can also get, you know, your chopstick, which I've got here. And then all you're going to do is just stir it in just to kind of, you know, make the colours move in a bit more. There's no wrong or right. And it looks like gooey caramel fudge. Although, obviously, clearly you cannot eat this, so do not try it. And we'll just push it all into the middle, because that's what we want for this particular soap. We want like a little bit of a thing. Don't worry too much. I mean, we're pulling this off the mold anyway, so it's no big deal. For anyone that's wondering, I use the pins because I thought, you know, how about I'll try and save the environment a bit and use something that I can reuse, but I don't know how well it's going, to be really honest with you, because like the pins are kind of in the way, whereas the sticky tape wasn't in the way, but the sticky tape obviously goes in landfill. So that's why I was trying to find another alternative. Maybe I need a better pin, not a dressmaking pin, maybe a just like a studded kind of pin. But anyway, and so this is thick enough now that we can pour it in. So definitely with coffee, do not wait. You need to pop it straight in. If you don't pop this straight in, it will thicken up super fast and you won't be able to work with it. That's the one thing with coffee. Well, my recipe, I've noticed that it definitely, you don't have a lot of time. So we will scrape this out. We'll give it a bit of a tap to try and even everything off, won't we? I mean, it's pretty right. And now the last bit, we're just going to add a little trickle of this in here as well on the top. And this will just give us another sort of dimension to it as well. It will just give us that kind of colour. If you have, you know, like little gingerbreads or little coffee beans made out of soap, you could pop these on, which I actually do have some I've made from soap, so I am going to pop those on. We'll grab those in a minute. I make all of my embeds out of cold processed soap. I'm literally just going to be moving this on either side just to kind of give a bit of a mount in the middle. There's no right or wrong, honestly. I mean, just choose your creative flair to do this. Because the white one is not as thick as the main coffee one. So this fragrance has definitely thickened it up a bit. Because like I said, I do have a few fragrances. It's probably the tobacco and vanilla that's made it a bit more crazy. Because I do notice that one makes it a bit more crazy. And to be honest, most of these are from Pure Candle Supplies, but I have also used a chocolate in my mix from Aroma. I've also used the gingerbread from Aussie Candle Supplies, and I really do like their gingerbread one. It's really nice. And it's not too gingery as well. So anyway, we've done that bit now, so let's clean it up and I'll come back and we'll put the embeds in. Alright everyone, so let's go. I do have some baby little embeds in here. Nothing too exciting. I just thought, look, we'll just pop these in. Hopefully I don't need to cut through them, I hope. It's very hard to do this with gloves. If anyone else has ever done this with gloves, you'll kind of go, oh my goodness, but it's so difficult. I'm sorry, but I have to take one off. I'll just be very careful not to put my hand near the soap. If we need to cut through these, we can cut through them. They're cold processed, so they'll be all right. I do have these little caramel little sugar beads as well, so we'll just give this a bit of a sprinkle of this. It's fine to use these sugar ones on your soap as well, you don't have to, but the one thing is you're not going to get ants or anything because it's going to be sealed in a plastic usually, and then you're going to put it in the shower. The first go on the shower, it will just rinse straight off. It really will, and you can see that I'm not putting a massive amount as well. They're just a little sprinkle here and there. Anyway, that's it, guys. We have finished our gorgeous coffee soap. It smells absolutely delish. So I'm going to leave it for a good 24 hours and then I will come back and cut it. But of course, I will show you exactly what we've done. But I hope you guys like it. I mean, there is the massive mold. As you guys know, this is a huge mold of over 3.3 kilograms of soap. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow to show you guys the cut. Alright everyone, it is day 2, so let's go and cut this gorgeous soap. I'm sure you can agree with me. I mean, look how beautiful it is. I ended up putting these tiny little coffee beans in as well, and they are real coffee beans, but these ones here are cold processed. The one thing that I always do say is if you put anything, just make sure it's easy for somebody to be able to remove it if they don't like it. So you can cut straight through the cold process. As you can see, I just cut through one then. And this is like 24 hours later. So here we go. This is what it looks like. I mean, doesn't that look really cute? I'm sorry if my lighting's kind of bad. The sun's hit the other way. And you can see the tiny little coffee grounds, but these really aren't the grinds. These are just like little tiny powdery bits in it. So I didn't really leave hardly any exfoliating hard bits because I've used it before and it's not great. And then these are the little sugary bits, as I said before, and then the white bits are the ones that we didn't put the fragrance in, and you can see how it just gives it a bit of depth onto the soap. So I'll put this on my tray, which is on the other side. One day I'm going to have a bigger space again, but for now that's okay. I've just accepted that we'll just have my gorgeous little studio, which I do love. And you guys always say the nicest things to me about my studio, so I do appreciate that. I mean, how cute are these? And this is with my big log, so my big mold. So as you guys know, you know, this will sort of hold roughly about 28 bars of soap within this big one, which is, I think, 3.3 kilograms of soap or oil based in my soap recipe. But look how cute that is. I mean, it looks just so cute, doesn't it? And if you can see up close the little these particular little ones, the cold process that I made. And I made that, you can make those months and months in advance as well. Anyway, hopefully you've loved it. I'll pop this on the end of the video, and I will see you on the next video. Make sure you give me a massive big thumbs up, if you think my video is worthy, so that YouTube knows the amazing content I'm trying to give to you all. Anyway, see you on the next video. Bye for now.